happened. The Wall Street Journal, Pentagon orders National Guard to establish quick reaction forces for civil unrest and riots. The move comes after Trump ordered an expansion of military units for responding to domestic disorder. Look at that photo. These guys are ready. The Pentagon has ordered the National Guard to create quick reaction forces in every state and territory by January that are trained and equipped to respond to riots and civil unrest within the United States. The riot control units are a major shift for the Pentagon, underscoring the Trump admin's push to directly involve the military in responding to protests and other domestic missions. Okay, this is the Trump admin outright saying he prepares to deploy National Guard for riots. Or at the bare minimum, they're saying they fully anticipate widespread rioting in the next year. I would argue that we are potentially days away from mass rioting and looting over the snap-apocalypse. But Trump says they're going to get that done, whatever that means. So I don't know if we're going to see these riots in the short term. But I don't know. It looks like the Trump admin is basically saying at the least we must be prepared for nationwide civil unrest.
Guys, support Twisted Plots before the Civil War breaks. All right, let's get this funded before the Civil War starts, so we can make this through the Civil War.
When the Civil War happens, does everyone got to buy me a Coke?
No. Why would that? Oh, I guess that's kind of true. Honestly, if it does happen, you do also need to buy Tim a Coke. So support Twisted Plots before we get to that point.
What does he mean when he says they're going to get it done?
No, I don't know.
He didn't say?
And I think he said something vague because I think the Republicans want the snap-apocalypse to happen. The interest in the debt is quickly rising and becoming one of the most expensive line items in our budget. We cannot continue down this path. No politician will ever come out, except Massey and Rand Paul maybe, and say, vote for me and I'll cut your benefits. Massey and Rand Paul probably would say that, yes. We're going to just shut it all down.
And this is really important. I did a video for the Foundation for Economic Education back in 2021 about the national debt, because this is when it had really exploded, even more so than it already had been after the COVID lockdown bailouts. And one of the things we pointed out in that video was the fact that when you're very seriously in debt, even though people like talking about the debt to GDP ratio, and that is important to think about, the real thing to consider if you're very in debt is, are you going to be able to keep up with the interest payments? All right. And we're going to get to a point here where interest payments are going to eclipse federal income tax revenues. So like every penny you pay in income tax will go towards paying off just interest on the national debt. It's a very bad place to be in. We're going to have to cut programs before that happens. No political leader is going to have the heart to cut a lot of these programs. So I understand why people are arguing you just got to let it stop and see what happens. But what we're headed for isn't going to be pretty. I'll just be honest.
Yeah. Tim, you asked me one time on the show, you said, I think it was my first time, and you hit me with a real tough question. You said, Cliff, do you support national divorce? And what you just said, Seamus, is I think how I answered it, which is I don't ever think it's going to be over some petty policy. I think it's about food, right? It's about livelihood. And so this SNAP issue, what else do the Democrats have in their arsenal as a political weapon to motivate and move people right now?
They don't have any policies.
There's no solutions. There's no policies. They don't really have a leader except soon-to-be socialist mayor of New York City, Mamdani. So, yeah, I hate to say this, but if I'm their strategist and you're looking at the drawing board, what other options do you have than to run it back on the George Floyd riots and to try to push based on that? Now, I hope that people are kind of awake to the idea that, look, they've done this before. There's not really, it's just driven by emotion.
Yeah.
But it worked.
No, I hear you. Well, and also, I hate to say this, man, and I think Trump has done some things in his second term I've been very happy with. Obviously, other things I've been a bit disappointed with him. But regardless of where he's at now, the lesson that Democrats learned from 2020 is when they riot, there will not be the kind of crackdown that there needs to be, right? They've been shaped in that way. So the likelihood that they try something again, it's not low. I hope that this is a positive sign, as dark as it is, that if they do try something, Trump is going to put it down and he is going to stop them from rioting and burning stores down and stealing from people.
As we can see with the Cat Abu Ghazala, I'm trying to pronounce her name right, story, they're going to revel in this. They're screaming and cheering, saying yes, because now they're going to use it to recruit. And they're going to say, see, this proves our point. Trump's a fascist.
Yeah. There was videos on the EBT of TikTok account where they're just, lady has her It's amazing. She has a full purse of stolen food, and she does like a haul video where she shows you all of the food that she stole, and it's really. And at the end, she encourages other people to go out and do the same.
Yeah, I fear that nothing can stop what is going to come except for maybe a multi-series cartoon show that can inspire people to laugh and
teach them lessons.
who needs
Twistedplots.com. Twistedplots.com. We're reshaping media.
I did that
Seriously.
plug for you, Seamus.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Who needs civil war when you have cartoons?
So
If everybody is just plugged into the Matrix, gorging themselves,
Well, even whenever we would talk initially about the concept of civil war and civil unrest, I'm not the smartest knife, the smartest person in the world, but my eyes like when
Smartest
food
knife,
knife, yeah,
sharpest.
when the food goes is when it goes bad, right?
Amen.
And
Yeah,
to me
that's
that
what
was
I'm
more
saying.
about that was in 2020, so that was like supply chains.
That's why I bought like 5,000 boxes of Pop-Tarts.
yes.
You were the one.
And I used the
Are you-
smart.
the one.
This is not a joke. Did you go downstairs?
Yes, I was wondering why I couldn't get any Pop-Tarts.
What do you mean? Oh, they're all downstairs.
No, I meant when I was out at the store, you bought them all.
Yeah, we ordered them. This is a true story. On Amazon, there was a thing that said Jumbo Pop-Tarts, and they looked big, and I was like, yo. So I bought a bunch.
Just regular Pop-Tarts?
Regular Pop-Tarts in a jumbo box.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not fair.
You thought you were gonna get like a gigantic,
That's right.
oversized Pop-Tart?
Uh-huh.
See, I may not be the smartest knife in the drawer, but I know that when you buy a jumbo Pop-Tart, it's gonna be a regular size in a big box.
It's like I might not be the jumboest Pop-Tart in the box, but I know.
But no, when you talked about it initially, I thought they were talking about supply chains because that was the big discussion in 2020. But the idea that the apocalypse for America would happen over Snap is almost like too perfect to.
So I have to jump in because my mother is talking to me right now from beyond. So my mom, single mother, 5 children.
Wow.
So I have to tell you that I know what a food stamp is. So there is a safety net that still we have to make sure that we are helping some folks. I agree. There are some people out there that need to be purged from these roles that are running around with their $100 nails, their Gucci bags and all that. That has to happen. But we also have to make sure that we don't forget some of those people that really need it. And my mother needed it. And she wound up getting her advanced degree in her 40s. Her son became a lawyer, a judge. I have a sister who's a teacher. All my siblings have become productive citizens. Obviously, we're nowhere near the food stamps anymore, but there are sometimes. So I hope that the government understands that we still have to have safety nets for some people until they can pull themselves up.
Yeah. Well, and overall, I'm very conservative. I'm right wing. I do agree in some kind of social safety net. I think that these things have to be done at the local level rather than the federal level. I think that having this large federal safety net makes people less aware that this is a community function and that they should be grateful to the people around them. One of the huge problems with this being outsourced to the federal government is it builds a sense of entitlement for a lot of people. But yeah, I said this on the show the other day. I've known a number of people on EBT, food stamps, welfare. Some of them were people who I would say 1,000,000% need it. Like, this person absolutely needs it. Others, it was like, why are you getting any of my taxes? This is actually insane.
That was we had this discussion. We were talking about it yesterday, where I kind of made the same point. Where I was like, "Look, I'm not willing to throw out Mima, who doesn't have, has no, her no kids, no family, nobody to support her, no help." I've seen this before amongst not necessarily people in my family, but people who didn't have any family, and I was like, I'm not willing to throw them out, the baby out with the bathwater, because corruption is something that needs to be rooted out. And I understand that at the federal level, the rot is so deep. And you look at what was 1 in 8 Americans are on food stamps or something like that. That's not just somebody's mom. That's a whole lot of other people. Yes. And when I referenced that video yesterday about the lady who's showing off her stolen food haul, she had the $100 nails and the food was in a Gucci bag.
Yeah, well, it's like,
that's right. I saw that video.
Yeah,
I do not believe that at this point in time, it's really 1 in 8 Americans who need these subsidies, who need this program. And the unfortunate reality is the important part of any policy, it's not the intentions, it's the incentives. Yeah. And the reality is, there is a massive incentive for the Democratic Party to get as many people on these benefits and entitlements as possible, because then you've got a permanent voter.
Yeah. I think we need a government program to subsidize those in need who are trying to launch cartoon shows.
Like Twisted Plots.
Let me make
TwistedPlots.com.
two quick points. TwistedPlots.com. Where's that? TwistedPlots.com.
Thank you.
So, number one, look, of course, we can always say, you know, there are people in need. Well, how did we do this before the federal government, you know, handled it? Obviously, the local charities. People will call me a radical free market guy. But there was a time when we were doing this in a different way, right? We were still helping people, but it wasn't coming from the government. To Seamus's point, when the feds get involved and then taxpayer money from all over the country is getting rerouted back to whatever area, you don't have control to track the corruption, right? If you want to make changes, you got to do it through the federal government. Whereas if it was done locally, if we were taxed locally, you could argue against some of that at a local city council meeting. You could argue against not just the dollar amount, but the system, the process, how people are using the system or abusing the system. But now it's just out in the ether, right? We're talking about billions and billions of dollars a year from the feds, and the number becomes too big for any of us to make a difference.
Absolutely. And the people collecting it are less aware now than ever before that someone else had to work for it. They see like, oh, well, the government gave me this money, I'm entitled to it. Whereas in the past, I think people who are on these programs were aware, this is money that came from my neighbors. I got to be careful with it. I should only use this when it's necessary, which is why you had people like your mother who had 5 kids and were single women who would say, yeah, of course I need this.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.